Cooper's Perspective was a review series I made back in February 2016. In fact, February 27th, 2016, which is hopefully the day that I'll get this video out in time for the show's 3rd anniversary. Yep, Cooper's Perspective is 3 years old, and I think it really shows. It's definitely become my most viewed series on my channel, which I'm proud of, but kinda recently I've been trying to move on from it. Not that I'm really ashamed of what I made, but this sort of thing happens, you know? There are some things in Cooper's Perspective that I kind of wish I did better, but I think it just sort of shows that back then I just wasn't as developed as a content creator as I am now, or at least I feel like I am now. When actually going back to Cooper's Perspective and comparing it to my more recent content, it really doesn't hold up too well in my opinion. I don't know, it's just, there's a lot of issues with it. I don't think the writing is that great, I don't think my editing was on point yet. I also had braces on for every single episode of Cooper's Perspective, and it's really obvious. Like, don't get me wrong, they worked, but they were a bitch to wear. Now I'm gonna make something perfectly clear for anyone watching. If you like Cooper's Perspective, even despite all the problems I personally see, then that's totally fine. I'm pretty happy that I put out content that people have legitimately enjoyed. There's definitely a fan base behind Cooper's Perspective, and in a way it did bring me my viewers I have now. I could talk more about why I don't like Cooper's Perspective anymore, but we'd probably be here for hours, ironically. So instead, I thought that I would do a little fun video where I look at what I think are the top 10 worst Cooper's Perspective episodes, coming from yours truly. Also, please do not take this as some sort of self-hatred thing. It's more just self-criticism for this now retired review series I used to make. This is all just my personal opinion, and I only put official in the title because I thought it was pretty funny. And hopefully all of you will enjoy hearing what I have to say about these 10 reviews I chose to put in this video. Also, don't expect me to do like a top 10 or top 5 best Cooper's Perspective episodes, because I feel like I would probably just end up choosing the last 5 episodes I made of that show. Because I really think that the last 5 episodes of Cooper's Perspective really started to show like the current style I'm trying to capture for my new review series. Before I start the list, an honorable mention will go to my Snowboard Kids review because I don't really like that video too much and I think it's way too easy of a choice to make. And my Sonic Heroes review because I don't think that review is too bad. The only thing I don't like about it is pretty obvious. In terms of story, gameplay, art style, and just overall direction, it's doing its own thing, and I respect that. Oh wow, this guy really likes this game. It's not as perfect as Adventure 1, and it's more repetitive than Adventure 2, but the good parts of Sonic Heroes seriously outweigh the bad. Oh wow, he just keeps praising it over and over again. He must really love this game. I'll give Sonic Heroes a 6.5 out of 10. What the fuck? Yeah, I kinda hate it whenever I gave games ratings that didn't accurately represent what I felt about the game, and I also hated it when people left comments that were only focusing on the rating I gave the game at the end of the review. So that's kinda why for review there are no ratings at the end of the videos, because I'm really sick of people just focusing on the rating I give the game and not let the review speak for itself. So if you're wondering why I stopped using ratings, there you go. With all that dumb shit out the way, let's get this countdown started with number 10. Ed and Eddie, The Misadventures. I think a few people might understand why I consider this number 10. The main reason is that it's the first review, so obviously it's not gonna hold up the best compared to everything else. It was the first ever type of video I ever put together like this, and I'm pretty proud of it. I mean, that's why I put it so high up on the list, but there are things in it that I just don't like anymore. Like, I think a lot of this review is just more me describing stuff in the game than actually reviewing it. I just really don't like the way I was reviewing this game, I guess. I'm sure if you rewatch the video you might, like, understand what I mean by that. Another thing that I really cannot get past is my voice. I'm already pretty subconscious about my own voice now, but back then, holy shit, how the fuck did this video get 150,000 views? Okay, that came later, but seriously, how did Cooper's Perspective keep going? Like, my voice in this video sounds so just bored and awkward, and just my inflections are fucking terrible. I mean, they still are, but they're so much worse here. By the way, the Ed and Eddie theme plays on loop in the pause menu. It may not sound that bad, but after hearing the same damn 30-second tune over and over again, can get really annoying really fast. I fucking cringed every time I watch this video. It's number 10 because it's the first, so I'll go a bit easy on it, but oh my god, there's a lot in this video I wish I didn't. Ugh, man. Also, if you look up Ed, Edd n Eddy on YouTube, it's the 9th result. And like I mentioned earlier, this video got over 100,000 views out of nowhere. I think it's because that Ed, Edd n Eddy sound effects became popular, like, at some point in 2018. So I suddenly saw a huge boost of views in this review. I'm pretty happy about that, and also that the first episode of Cooper's Perspective got so much views. But I kind of feel for all the people who clicked on this and was hoping Snowboard Kids would be better, but it wasn't. Number 9, Sonic Unleashed. Spoiler alert, the rest of this list is probably going to consist of Sonic games. This is a review that I have really mixed feelings on, and a lot of you might already know why. I do think this is one of my better reviews, and there's a lot of points in it I made, especially about like Modern Sonic and the Werehog gameplay, that I just feel like even when I wrote it down at the time, I was just like, holy crap, that's fucking great. No one has ever really said this about Sonic Unleashed, and I'm pretty excited to, like, get this review out. Like, there are definitely, like, good aspects that I'm really happy about in this review that I'm sure a lot of people in the comments have also pointed out, especially people who love Unleashed as much as I do. But the main problem just comes with the length. This was the longest review I ever put out. It's like, does this even qualify as a review anymore? I mean, then again, Shaymay did put out similar videos like this, and I love Shaymay and I love his content. So I guess, yeah, this is still technically a review, but god, it's so fucking long. I've had people tell me they actually did manage to watch this entire thing in one sitting, and even multiple times, which, good for you guys, but holy shit, I can't fucking do that. Even though there are good points about this review that I like, the main issue isn't just with the length. There are things I wish I did better in this review. I think the main thing is that I complained way too long about the voice actors again, the English voice actors. In fact, this was kind of a reoccurring issue with all my reviews of Sonic games that had voice acting in it. I feel like I was a bit too harsh on the 4Kids actors. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of them still to this day, but I feel like I went way too hard on them, and I really shouldn't have made like my rants on each actor last way too long, cause if there's one thing I would cut out of this review, it would be like the voice actor rants. So whenever I did my Forces review, that's why I intentionally made my talking about the voice actors brief, cause I screwed up in my Unleashed and other reviews where I talked about them for way too long. And that also seems to be a lot of other people's issues with this review too. Like, they thought the whole thing was entertaining, until I started talking about the voice actors for way too long. There's that issue, and also, when I was reviewing Unleashed, which I personally feel like when I re-review Unleashed, I'm just gonna do the HD and Wii versions separately. I feel like a lot of my anger towards Unleashed was way too, not really unwarranted, but too forced. Like, I tried way too hard to make myself sound really angry, and it makes me fucking cringe. Like, whatever. I'm sure some people liked it and thought it was funny, but I don't like it anymore. I think that's all my issues with the Sonic Unleashed review. That's kind of why I have this at number 9, pretty high on the list. Because even though, despite those problems, I am proud I made this, because who the fuck else was going to make a near 2-hour long review of Sonic Unleashed for PS3 and Wii? It's the longest review I've ever put out, and it's also the most viewed episode of Cooper's Perspective, and also my most viewed review, if you could think about it. So, I'm glad I made this, I'm glad I put it out, and it got the success it got. I'm glad it brought more people onto my channel. I'm also kinda glad it made more people look back at Sonic Unleashed as a underrated title in a way. And Sonic Unleashed, whenever I re-review like all the modern Sonic games in the future, I'm definitely looking forward to re-reviewing Sonic Unleashed, because even though I sounded like I loved the game already based off my original review, right now I have way more love and appreciation for Sonic Unleashed than I did back then, so I think the re-review will be really interesting. Also, in case some people were wondering, yes, I finally got the fucking S-Rank in Eggman Land. Thank God. Number 8. This one's kinda cheating, but all my classic Sonic reviews, especially Sonic CD. My main issue with these old reviews is that they're just old. I just feel like I'm not really the best at articulating things in my older reviews, so they're not super informative. I think the best part of the Sonic 1 and Sonic 2 reviews is that, well, they're short. But then the Sonic CD and Sonic 3 and Knuckles ones started building up the time length, and it just got worse from there. Another just personal issue I have with these reviews is that in my Sonic 1, and, well, mainly in my Sonic CD review, I got extremely personal, and a lot of people gave me good reactions to it, but right now, me personally, I kind of wish I didn't talk about those stuff, like the suicide talk and stuff like that. I don't know, it's way too personal for me, and I even feel like I didn't articulate and explain why that stuff was going on with me back then. But right now, I just feel like I maybe probably shouldn't have brought that up. That's actually why I unlisted the Sonic CD review, because that personal info, I just don't want to be out there so easily anymore. I'm sure like some of you who weren't really so much disturbed by it can understand where I'm coming from when I say that. When I re-review Sonic CD and all these other games in the future, I might briefly bring it up, but I won't go way too much into detail like I did the last time. So yeah, that's why I put all these reviews at the same spot, number 8, because I just feel like they have issues, and I did remember enjoying making the Sonic 3 and Knuckles review, so hope you guys can understand. Number 7, Sonic Adventure 2. This is another review I kinda have mixed thoughts on. It has sort of the same issues where I just do nothing but describe what's going on in the game and its plot, so it's not really consisting that much of, like, actually reviewing things. And I really don't think the length of this review was justified. Like, 90 minutes? Really? I probably could have cut some stuff out. This review also just has a lot of pacing issues, I feel, and Sonic Adventure 2 is just, it's one of those big Sonic games that I desperately want to re-review again, because I just feel like me right now can probably do a way better job than me 3 years ago, you know? There's also just this one weird comment I made in the Sonic Adventure 2 review, which I really wish I could take back, where when I was talking about the voice actors for way too long, like usual, when I got to Shadow, I described David Humphrey's Shadow voice as having an English accent. I can't really describe it, but I just love his voice for Shadow. He just sounds so damn cool. Perhaps it's that slight British accent that really brings it all together.
That's more than enough for the demonstration. So let's get the show on the road!
Where the fuck did that come from? What the fuck? What am I talking about? I guess I was trying to say his voice just sounded cool. I don't know why the fuck I chose to say it was an English or British accent, so I think that alone probably puts it right here on the list, because what the fuck am I talking about? And that's not gonna be the last time I bring up something like this, but wow, me 3 years ago is not the exact same me now, so I hope you guys understand. If you like this review, again, good for you, but oh my, I can't stand it. I don't think it should have been 90 minutes long, and Sonic Adventure 2 is one of my favorite Sonic games of all time. I actually 100%ed it again on Dreamcast, so this game definitely holds a special place in my heart, and I want to do a way better review of it in the future. But until now, enjoy this 90-minute mess. What? A ghost? Number 6, Wii Sports. Okay. Guys, I'm gonna be real with you for a sec, alright? I'm gonna be totally real with you. Just hear me out, okay? Just listen to this important question I'm gonna ask you all, okay? Who the fuck watched this episode? Number 5, Shadow the Hedgehog. Okay, Shadow is a game where my opinion on it has not really changed, but at the same time, I'm not as harsh on it anymore, so I just feel like my review from, again, 3 years ago doesn't hold up to how I actually feel about it now. That's my main issue with this review. It's way too negative. I don't find, like, forced anger that entertaining. I'm sure some people do, but I personally don't want to make that type of content anymore, because it just feels like I'm trying way too hard to be, like, angry gamer type of reviewer, you know? And I don't want to be like generic fucking angry gamer making shitty review content. Fuck, the end of this review has me throwing the game in the fucking garbage like a game dude moment. Like, fuck that. Also, it has that main issue where I complained about the 4Kids actors for way too long than I needed to. It's kinda justified here because this was the first game where they voiced all the characters, so I needed to give my opinion on them. But if anything, I really wish my rants on the 4Kids actors stayed in this episode, and maybe I give just side passing mentions for them in the later episodes rather than going on several minute rants on them. Again, there's just a lot in this episode that I don't like. It's really basic, but like, I don't like this review anymore. I don't like how negative it gets, and it's not pleasant for me to watch anymore, and I don't fucking know what else to say. I regret throwing it in the garbage, and I'm just whenever I re-review this game in the future, I definitely want to make it way better than this old review. So, hope you guys look forward to that. Number 4, Sonic 06. And being perfectly honest, you guys, all the issues I had with my Shadow review kind of transition over to this review too. I feel like I was way too harsh on this game, not so much at the same level as I was with my Shadow review, but I also just feel like everything I said in this review was just the usual "06 is a bad game" video that's kind of cliche nowadays. With Cooper's perspective, one of my original goals was to offer a different perspective, quote unquote, on like anything that I looked at in an episode. But with this review, everything I said just seemed very similar to what Clement, Some Call Me Johnny, every other Sonic 06 review ever said. Not to mention my opinion on Sonic 06 is radically different now. I still think it's a bad game, but I have fun playing it, and to shock all of you, I actually repurchased Sonic 06 and Shadow the Hedgehog recently. In fact, I gave Shadow the Hedgehog a full playthrough, like I got all 10 endings. I even played through Sonic 06 all over again. So, I just feel like my opinions on this and Shadow, in a way, just don't really replicate how I actually feel about these games now. So Sonic 06 and Shadow the Hedgehog, these are reviews that I definitely want to look back at again, because I can't stand watching these reviews. Especially when they're way too fucking long and have way too much shit in it. It's like, I really wish I cut things out of these reviews and they were shorter. People enjoy these reviews, so you know, awesome, keep loving them. But I hope you all understand where I'm coming from when I say all this, you know? Also, I'm appearing on camera to address something that happened in my Sonic 06 review that I'm not very happy about anymore. So during the bit where I rant on about the 4Kids actors for way too long again, I said a joke making fun of Amy Pallant, the 4Kids voice of Tails, that the joke itself I don't really find funny anymore. I don't even think it makes sense anymore. But the joke itself isn't necessarily the thing I'm gonna apologize for. I would like to apologize for the editing joke that happened right after I said that, which ended up being the worst possible cutaway gag I could have ever made in any video ever. I'm gonna play the clip, but I will say, if you are a transgender person, a bit of a trigger warning with a certain word that you're about to hear, so just heads up on that. Here's the clip. Moving on, Amy Pallant still can't decide what gender Tails is.
It's most definitely a trap.
Okay, I wanna make something perfectly clear. That was not intentional. I promise on my grave that was not intentional for me to do. I remember when I was making the 06 review in the editing process, it was just a fucking nightmare. I hated working on the review. I just hated how long it was getting. I also just hated Sonic 06 in general back then, so I just hated seeing the game. I was just not in a good mindset, so when I was getting to that part of the review, and I said that one joke where I was like, oh, she doesn't know if he's a boy or a girl, I did not mean to use that clip directly of Tails saying that line with that word in it. That was unintentional. I just remember I edited in the bit where I said that dumb joke, and then I thought to myself, okay, I need to play an example of what her Tails voice is. Oh, I'll use this scene, because I remember that scene, and it just so happened that Tails said the worst possible thing that he could have said in the scene. So, again, just to any transgender person who is probably watching right now and probably saw either the joke right now or maybe they saw it 3 years ago when the review came out, if any of you were at all offended by it, I just want to say I'm terribly sorry and that I promise it was not intentional. I did not mean to make fun of this group of people with this stupid joke. I feel bad about it, and I regret it, and I'm really sorry that I put that in a video unintentionally. I'm such a fucking moron. Me, 3 years ago, was a fucking idiot. I'm being the better person by coming out and saying I'm really sorry if that unintentional editing joke offended anyone. So, I hope all of you can understand and accept my apology. So, with that said, I'm gonna move on with the video, and Again, I'm sorry if I offended anyone with that joke. It wasn't intentional, it was just I chose the worst possible thing to cut away to after saying a really lame joke on an actress I wish I wasn't mean about. So, yeah, I hope you can all understand, and I'm not the same person anymore, I promise. So, yeah. Number 3, Sonic Lost World. This review, not only does it not show what I actually feel about Sonic Lost World now, but I just feel like the first half hour is way too fucking negative. I cannot get past rewatching this review. I also just don't like it whenever I directly insult, like, the writers and shit. I just feel like, why'd I bother doing that? I don't know, it doesn't sit with me too well. Whenever I, like, lash out at other people in my reviews, like I kinda did in my Unleashed and Sonic Adventure 2 reviews, where I mentioned, like, other reviewers like Pro Jared and Jimmy Wetzel, I feel like a review should just stand on its own and not have to rely on making fun of or mocking others. I don't think that's very, like, cool, and it's not the most professional thing ever. Not to say that Cooper's perspective was always professional, but I feel like I should have been more mature, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, this review is just like, my opinions on this game are just not the same anymore. I don't care about Sonic Lost World. I have not played that game since I reviewed it, in fact. Yeah, this is one I definitely want to retackle, and I definitely want to do a better analysis of why I don't think the story's very good, and also just try to explain why I don't so much care for this game anymore when I re-review it. And I guess one last thing to mention about this review is that why the fuck did I release it on my birthday of all days? Yeah, happy 19th birthday, Cooper. You released a fucking review you don't like anymore. Congratulations. Number 2, Sonic Colors. Yeah, I don't have to say anything else. There's a lot of, I think, unwarranted anger in this video. I stole a few jokes from Some Call Me Johnny, which, yes, I'll flat out admit. At the time, when I was recording those jokes, I legit thought, hey, maybe people think this was a fun reference to Some Call Me Johnny. Kinda like what the Irate Gamer did when he stole jokes from AVGN, but yeah, I don't want to do that anymore. Apologies to anyone who got upset by that. Okay, I'm gonna be upfront. I don't like Sonic Colors. To be honest, it is still one of my least favorite Sonic games of all time, and I don't think it has, like, that much replay value. It's not a Sonic game I ever want to go back to. And what's so difficult is that this review, it does show what I actually feel about this game, but I just feel like I didn't articulate myself well. Like, it just seems like I came off extremely rude in this video. I was just, again, just very angry video game reviewer type of, like, content that I don't like making. Maybe some people didn't see it that way, and there are points where I did praise some aspects of Colors, but I feel like I've focused way too much on the negative. I'm not saying it's not fully unwarranted, because I don't like Sonic Colors at all, but I feel like I could have explained it a bit better and not have to rely on being angry throughout the video. So, Sonic Colors is a game I don't necessarily look forward to replaying and re-reviewing, but this is definitely a video I want to redo again because I just don't like my Colors review at all. I should have explained myself better, I shouldn't have been so negative, and it seemed like I was just kind of low-key insulting people who actually like this game, which I never want to come across as that, like, at all. Like, I don't want to be an asshole, pretty much. So, yeah, I'm sorry to anyone who got upset by this video. Whenever I re-review Sonic Colors again, my opinions on it won't change too much, but I will do a way better job at it instead of just calling it shit and being angry. So, hope you all look forward to that. With that in mind, number 1, Sonic Generations. I don't know where to start with this review. There's way too many, like, problems to list. Okay, so complain about the voice actors. I think this was, like, the peak of how annoying it got. I was way too fucking harsh on the game. Like, I don't hate Generations. If I ever came off to any of you as to thinking I hated Generations, I don't. I think it's a decent game, but holy shit, I did not articulate that very well. Like, the review just isn't positive, and I don't think it's very pleasant to watch. Not to mention I directly insulted the fucking writers again, which, that doesn't seem very nice. I featured a hate comment, and not to mention I kinda called the people who liked this game or liked aspects about this game dumb, which just, what the fuck was I thinking? And I think just the one thing I don't like about this video is that it just has a lot of bad press. I got a lot of hate brought on by that video, and so many fucking comment threads were made on this video of people just arguing and being split apart by this review, and I don't like being responsible for that. I don't. And whenever it's because of a video that not only do I not feel the same way about Generations now as I do back then, but also that, like, I don't think there's anything in this video that I'm happy about. Like, I mean, the editing is okay, but I don't like what I edited together. And I think if anything, this isn't just the worst episode of Cooper's Perspective in my opinion. I think this is the worst video I've ever put out. Like, I mean, you can make something half-assed, and it could be fucking shit. But the thing is, if you make something half-assed, you could laugh at it and point at it and say, wow, that's really shitty. Can't believe you made something like that. But with the Sonic Generations review, I sat down for days on end, editing this travesty together, and so much time and effort put into it that I personally don't think was worth it anymore. Like, I put together something, like, competently made, and put it out on YouTube with the most effort I probably could have put into it, and I just don't fucking like it. But you know, I feel like that's a good thing, because I finally hit rock bottom with this video, and I know to this day that if I am gonna make a new review, I should never make it like the Generations review, ever again. I really do think it's a good thing whenever you make, like, the worst thing you've ever made, because whenever you make something new, if you're worried about, like, if it's gonna end up being bad or the worst thing you've ever made, you can look at the thing you actually think is the worst thing you've ever made, and you can make a valiant effort to, like, avoid the mistakes you made in that video. So, I guess for the Generations review, I am ashamed of it. I'm ashamed of all the views it brought in that just led to so much hate and disagreements in the comments, and so much hate brought on to me and everything else, but I am proud that I made this video, because I now know that if I ever want to make a good review, I just have to know that I made this video, and that I should not repeat any of the same mistakes I made in that video with a new video. So, if anything, I am grateful that this Sonic Generations review exists. So, good going, past me. You made the worst fucking thing you've ever made. It's an hour long, and it has over 100,000 views, and thousands of comments, and people so pissed off on it, so good job. But also know that future you is looking back at this video, and whenever I re-review Sonic Generations in the future, which I desperately want to do, especially because this fucking review sucks, I now know what I shouldn't do in my re-review in the future. So, thank you, past me, for being a fucking screw-up. And that was my top 10. If you guys want to make your own top 10 worst Cooper's Perspectives, then go ahead. Or if you want to spread some positivity, you can do some top 10 best episodes, and I'll be sure to watch and maybe leave a comment saying I disagree, but you know, I appreciate the love. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little video, because it's been an idea in the back of my mind ever since I realized, like, Cooper's Perspective is turning 3 years old. So I wanted to put together something for the anniversary, and hopefully a lot of you will understand my reasons for not wanting to bring it back and just do a new review series and try to capture a new style. For the people who are probably going to be upset by watching this video and think that, like, I shouldn't hate my old reviews and that it's not a good way to look back at my content, but I'm just going to say it is a good thing. And it's okay for you to disagree with me. It's just, as a content creator, I think it's totally healthy to look back at your content negatively, as long as you're, like, aware that the stuff you're doing now, like currently, is an improvement, and you feel like that you could just keep improving on it. It isn't necessarily that you hate your old content, you just can't really look back at it the same way, because right now you just feel like you've done way better. And that's honestly how I feel right now. Cooper's Perspective is not something I'm ashamed of. It brought in my audience, it brought in subs, and most importantly, it brought in people who still watch my new stuff, which I'm so so grateful for. For the end of 2017 and early 2018, I thought to myself that I like wasn't gonna make reviews again because I just didn't like making them anymore. But my issue wasn't so much that I hated making reviews, I just hated the way I was making them. Which is why I killed Cooper's Perspective and just made a new review series. I know a lot of people are probably hoping I go back to other games that I promised I would review, but I will say that I will definitely get to those games in the future. I don't want to say when, but just stick around and you'll get them eventually, and I promise you all that, okay? But for now, you know, thank you all for watching, and thank you all for the support, and I'm so just eternally grateful for that, and who knows, maybe in the future I'll make a top 10 worst reviews. So, yeah, let's try to reach that point, everyone. Let's try to keep going, and keep improving, and keep watching. So, thank you again to everyone who supported me since the launch of Cooper's Perspective, or probably joined while I was on my journey of making all those old-ass, long-as-hell reviews. And thank you all for hopefully sticking around with my new content. So, yeah, thank you so much for everything, and I will see you guys in the next review. Take care.
Jealousy, turning saints into the sea.